guys. So for today, for our Read Aloud book, we are going to read a book about a boy named Max, and he goes on this wild adventure, and he sees all these wild and creepy creatures along the way. So I think we're gonna have fun with this book, and I think a lot of you might even know this book too. But before we do that, so not only are we going to learn about Max as a character, but we're also going to learn about the setting and some major events with that. So before we get into that, I want to go over what character and setting and major events means. So, as we know, Max is going to be one of our characters. So, he exemplifies as a character. So a character is kind of a person that is in a book or in our story. So therefore Max is going to be one of our characters. So we already know that. Our setting is a place that's going to be taking place in the story or the book. So if you look on the front of the page, it kind of shows like a lot of trees and some water and some grass. And then you see this creature too, and he might be a character as well. But you also can see all these trees and everything. So that might be a setting in a jungle. So we're going to learn about characters, settings, and then we're going to learn about major events or key details. So key details are really important parts that are happening in the story. They're parts that really stick out to you. So, like I said, I'm going to be reading the book, but as you're going to be listening, I want you to look for characters, settings, the setting, and key details. Let's get started. So, where the wild things are. And the story and picture, so our author and illustrator is by Maurice Sendak. So like I said, I want you to notice just in the beginning of the front of the cover. So you have a wild thing or a creature that is sleeping. So he might be one of our other characters too. And I see a boat. I wonder who could be on that boat. And like I said, we talked about the setting. It can be trees and water and grass. Let's find out. Oh, there's Max. If I can flip the page, sorry. Okay. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. Looks like he's not making good choices. His mother called him, "Wild thing," and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. There's trees growing in his bedroom. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls become the world all around him. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. So we noticed that he was in his bedroom, but now he's on a boat. I wonder where he's going. And in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. Ooh, that monster looks scary. What do you think Max is going to think about all these creatures? There they are. Let's see what Max has to say. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. So the monsters are almost scared of Max, and made him king of all the wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." What does wild rumpus mean? Let's see. Ooh, kind of looks like they're dancing, and Max looks like he's howling. Oh, and now they're swinging on the trees, kind of like monkeys. And now he's riding on one of the creatures' back, and he holds his little magic thing, because he's the king. "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all the wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. So Max looks sad. I wonder who he's missing. Then all around from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. Where is he going now? So he was in the jungle, but where is he going to go now, I wonder? In the setting. And into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. So now he's back in his bedroom, and supper is waiting for him. The end. So, I hope you guys noticed some of our characters and settings, the setting and key details. So I kind of wanted to highlight some of those for you. So I wanted to go over each one of those. So we're going to talk about character. So in this column, I'm going to write character. And sorry, my wall is bad. It has like the popcorn wall, so it's not very good. Make 3 columns. There we go. Okay, so a character is, once again, a person who is in the story or book. So a character, a person who is in the story or book. So our main character was Max. So I'm going to write Max right here. I'm going to put a little dot, and I'm going to put Max. Hopefully that's a little big enough for you guys, but maybe I'll write bigger next time. So who are the other characters that you noticed? Because I noticed, even just looking on the front cover, was a wild thing. And there are the wild things in there. So that's another character I saw, or characters I saw. So I'm going to write another dot, and then I'm going to write wild things. Wild things. Okay. So I didn't really notice any other characters in the book. So now we're going to move on to setting. So I'm going to write setting right here. Okay, and setting, again, is a place that, or a place where, I guess I should say, the story is taken place. Okay, so if we look in the front of the book first, Max is in his bedroom because he's mad, right? He's mad because he's been bad. So I'm going to write Max's bedroom, which is also at his house. So I can put and his house. But then where else did he go after his house? When the trees were climbing in his bedroom, and then he saw all the wild things. So I'm going to call that the jungle. So then he went to the jungle. And then I'm going to say that's the wild thing's home. So I'm going to put wild things home. Oops, ignore that. Okay, and then where else did he go? So he was at his bedroom. Then he was in the jungle and he was playing and having fun with the wild things. But then where did he go at the end of the story? And I hope you say back to your bedroom or back to his bedroom because that's where he went. So I'm going to put that down here because that means that he went back to his bedroom. Okay. And for our last one, we're going to talk about key details. I'm going to write key details. And key details are important things that happen in the story. So I'm going to write important parts, actually, that happen in the story. So even though this book is awesome and I loved this, I noticed some of the biggest parts or most important parts that happened in the book was so Max went to his bedroom and then he left to the jungle. So that's one of the things I'm going to write. I'm going to say Max left his house or bedroom, and went to the jungle. So when he went to the jungle, he met the wild things. So then he had a really fun time with the wild things. And then the wild things made him king. And then they had a wild rumpus. And remember, a wild rumpus is when they had a big party and they danced and everything. So I'm going to write the wild things made Max king of the wild place, and they had a wild rumpus. Okay. So then another thing that happened, so first Max left his house or his bedroom and went to the jungle. Then when he got to the jungle, he met the wild things and they made him the king, and then they had a wild rumpus. And I'm going to highlight that or underline that, because I think that's super important, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then Max left after all of the wild things were sleeping, and Max was getting hungry, so he left the jungle and went back to his bedroom. So I'm going to say Max left the jungle and went back to his bedroom. Sorry, my handwriting is bad, but I'll have to do. So I think this is just a great idea to highlight all the things that we talked about. So our characters was Max and the Wild Things. Our setting in the story took place at Max's bedroom or his house, and then it reverted to the jungle, or otherwise called the Wild Things' home. That's where they lived. And then Max went back to his bedroom. And then the key details or important parts that happened in the story was Max left his bedroom and he went to the jungle. And then the wild things made him king of the wild place. They had a wild rumpus, which is a party. And then Max left the jungle and he went back to his bedroom. And what do you know? He had supper laying out for him. So the book he ended up happy either way. So now that we talked about all of that, I want to go back to the book and talk about one part that I noticed that I really want to talk about. So the reason why I highlighted Wild Rumpus was because I thought it was really important, because I thought it was the most fun part, and it happened kind of in the middle of the book. So this is when they started having a Wild Rumpus, but when I'm flipping through the pages, I noticed that there are no words, and it's just blank, and there's just pictures that are in the book. So the reason why I think that this happened was because the author wanted us to use our imagination as readers and think of a way to make this wild rumpus or a party even better. So I kind of have an idea to make our own, for all you guys to make your own wild rumpus. And we're going to make our wild rumpus out of music to make it a little more fun, and we're going to make some beats. So what I mean by that is that when you have a wild rumpus in a party and how all of them are kind of dancing and they're having fun, we usually listen to music when we dance, right? So how fun would it be when we read this book again, or you as a family, you read this book again and you guys get to make your own music, and then you get to even have your own party or wild rumpus together and kind of reenact that part. So I think that's a great idea. I think it's a fun idea. So what I had in mind is I get my stuff. So what I mean by making your music, I thought of a great idea to make some beats. So what I mean by beats is kind of like beats are like a steady rhythm that happens. So like when I think of beats, I think of my heart. And your heart, when you put your hand over your heart goes ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. So it's kind of like a consistent, it's like a steady music rhythm. It just stays the same, whether it's fast or slow or medium. So I kind of want to show an example of that. So this is just kind of one way you guys can make some music instruments by making the music and making your beats. All this is just a paper towel roll, and I put plastic wrap on each ends, and then rice in the middle to make it shake. And then you don't have to, but I just kind of made paper around it just to make it more colorful. So like I said, what I mean by beats is you kind of make it steady, like, so it's kind of like a medium, or you can go fast, like, but it's like consistent. It's like bam, 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 or slow, like 2, 2, 2, 2. So, and you don't have to use this music instrument either. You can use a lot of things around your house. Like another thing I have is literally just a Folgers Classic roast container. It's empty. It still smells like coffee too, by the way. And then just a wooden spoon. Well, this one isn't wooden, but and then you can have them beat. So, or if you don't want to use that, flip it over. I think it's really cool if kids use drums. I think that's a really cool way. Or something like this. If you don't have one of these, you can even use an ice cream tub or container as well. Literally anything you can use around your house, just as long as it's making steady beats. So another way, when you're starting your wild rumpus, I thought of a great idea to implement a song or a chant while you're doing it. So when it starts saying this part, and Max says, and now let the wild rumpus start, and then they're going through the wild rumpus, I thought it would be cool. So I'll show an example. But first I want to say the song and chant. The song and chant would be something like, let the wild things, or we are the wild things, I'm sorry. So this is what I would say. We are the wild things. And then you can even count the beats. So I did, we are the wild things. So I did 4 beats. And then you can change it like, we are the wild things. So it's faster, or you can make it slower. I just think that would be a really cool idea, just to make this wild rumpus part even more fun. And like I said, since the author didn't put any words, I just think it's kind of just your own imagination, whatever you prefer. And then this is just a little crown that I made that you can also have, you can make with your kiddos. It's literally just paper or yellow paper, and then I taped it. I just folded it and taped it, and then cut triangles and made a little crown out of it, just to make it more realistic, I guess, if they want to act like Max and kind of be in the jungle. Another thing, if they want to actually be in the jungle, I would suggest even going outside, just to make it, like I said, make it more realistic. So once you have your music instrument, whether, whatever you do, and then you do your beats, and you know your chant, which is, we are the wild things, yeah, I think that'd be really fun. So I hope you all enjoyed this book, and I hope you guys can make your own wild rumpus and have a good time with it, and just, yeah, have fun with it. So thank you, and I will see you next time.